In this video, we're going to take a look at how to find the GCD, or greatest common divisor, of two or more numbers using the TI-83 Plus or the TI-84 series of calculators. The keystrokes for all of these calculators listed are the same. If you happen to have one of the other TI calculators, or you have the original TI-83, no Plus or Silver edition, then you have the keystrokes will be different. On the TI-83 original, the menu options should be identical, but the keystrokes will be different. Now, just a kind of a note here. The greatest common divisor, GCD, is also sometimes called the GCF, or the greatest common factor. Now, there's really no difference between these two, with the exception that the divisor refers to division, the factor refers to multiplication. If a number divides another, it is a common, if a number divides two other numbers, it is a common divisor. It is also a common factor because it will multiply by some other number to equal those other numbers. So it's very, very wish-washy there as to what the difference really is. And so they're used interchangeably. Okay, now the reason I emphasize the GCD is because on your calculator, the command to find the greatest common divisor is in fact GCD. If we press the math key, then we scroll over to num, which is where we found least common multiple if you watched that video, scroll all the way down to option number 9, GCD. If you happen to have an updated operating system on your TI-84 Silver, you can have, or I think the 84 even, you'll have additional options underneath 9. If you have the 83 Plus or the original operating system for the Silver edition or the T84, you will not have those. So we want to find the GCD. Press enter. Now go ahead and put in our numbers separated by a comma. 1728, comma 120. And then we want to close our parentheses. It's just a good habit. Enter. Okay, so this one, these two numbers had a greatest common divisor of 24. Okay, well, that's fine. That's not that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and try to find the greatest common divisor of these other three numbers. And now this one tends to be a little bit more difficult. It's not really once you get the hang of it, but initially it can be a little rough. And here's our goal. What we're going to do is we're going to embed a greatest common divisor command within a greatest common divisor. And so the way we're going to do this is we're going to say find the greatest common divisor of 315 and some other number. But that other number must also be a common divisor, or a greatest common divisor, of 1098 and 768. And so what we're going to do is embed this second greatest common divisor function within our outer function. As you get used to doing these things and embedding and that sort of thing, it would be a good idea to write it down, just like I did here. Even computer programmers, if they're experienced or inexperienced, more so if they're inexperienced, or they're working in a large team, they will put notes in their program. This is what it does. This is how I did it. They explain it to themselves or to other people. It doesn't take up that much time, and it helps because that way you don't create something that is a bad algorithm. And so we want to watch this, write it down, and then watch yourself do it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to call the GCD command, math, scroll over to num. Now instead of scrolling down, I'm just press the number 9 since I've memorized the option number. It'll bring up the GCD. If your option number is a letter, you can also press the alpha key and then select the letter, and it'll jump to that command. So as I look at my red, the GCD is embedded inside a GCD, and so I select math and num and 9 again. So I have GCD of the GCD of 1098 comma, 768, end the parenthesis. You have to do this, otherwise it's going to come back to you with the syntax here. It says, you messed up. I don't know what you're saying. Comma. Now, the GCD of 1098 and 768 is going to be a number. That is our input to this outer function. And so we take our 315, and then we end our parentheses. Enter. And we find that the greatest common factor is 3. Okay, well that's not so bad. All right, a different way of doing this, one that might be a little bit more intuitive with the calculator if you've ever used it, is to simply use the answer in a recursive format. And so let me scroll down just a bit here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find the greatest common divisor of 1098 and 768, and I'm going to get some kind of an answer. I'll call it ANS. The reason being is we have an ANS key on the calculator. On the next stroke, immediately underneath that, I'm going to find the greatest common divisor of the answer to the previous question and 315. And I can keep doing this for however many numbers I need. And so to call this, go to Math, scroll to Num, number 9 we'll call it, and then I put in 1098, comma, 768, end the parenthesis, enter. I get an answer. Okay. Now what do I do is I take Math, GCD, so over to Num, press 9, and now I call my answer by second and then the negative key where it says ANS in blue. Now if you have a TI-80, the TI-83 plus, you'll have a yellow second key, and then down here on the negative sign it'll be yellow. It's no great big deal, it's just the color-coded buttons. And so the greatest common divisor of our previous answer and 315. And that's 3. And so we get the same answer either way. Does not matter. You can do this for as many iterations as you need. If you have 20 numbers, you can continue to do this, either the embedded or the answer, and you'll just keep on trucking. Now, there might be other programs or other apps out there that can do it faster. Ultimately, they're probably going to use either the embedded greatest common divisor, or they're going to use this recursive kind of formula, one of the two.